Today I'm going to present to you a lesson, and this is called What I Learned from TED Talk. This is the topic, How Math is a Real Sixth Sense. Eddie Wu loves math, and that's math is the subject. But we are not always called numbers, simulations, and symbols and calculations. Mostly, in the vast majority of us, we are outsiders. So begin again. If you know about some of Eddie Wu's, he's a teacher, he wears glasses, and mostly Asian. He loves math. For the reason, even though he's an outsider, we thought of math, that math just solving the problem. There's nothing else to be complete of. So we work with math, and math is too tricky. Actually, for Eddie Wu, he got the same problem with math and music. Let's dive into when we are the persistence of an outsider. In first school, his favorite subjects were actually English and history. His home was already in stories, maybe stories we actually see, symbols. But maybe you even know thought about some of the things about in English and history. But he made an angst for his teenager job. In the school, the teenager often appreciate math, so it's actually have an angst for him. In the studies, we have 8 classes. They're gonna have this class, and then we're gonna go into the Australian mathematics competition. And if you have scores, because of computer scores, there are 8 classes anyway. The first class is going to be when you're royalty. The fourth class is going to be average. So now, they will average print average of everyone on scores. To want to get prizes and top scores will be on the corner, be printed on. And far away in the dark place was his name. His home was actually in stories, chapters, narratives, and at home always raised sales. He would try to raise sales in those studies, mostly always in history and English. He tried to do it and be a teacher. But at Sydney's, one of his professors told him to change the raising. He said you actually have to be a mathematics. As he agreed, he always does this for someone, and he agreed. No matter how job it is, how hard it is, he's going to do it for someone. That is, he's going to be pushed to go into mathematics. Then he studied his degree, but he also made the same mistake with like music. At 7th grade, like 7 age, okay, he thought music was torture. Everything of it is always had notes. And a good Michael child always coming forward to study the piano. And what she did. But on the weekends, it's always filled with endless repeating scales and memorizing notes. He's even 7 years old. He knows that music is actually torture. Everything is dry, sultry, and endless joyful, and always sad memories. He wants to get away from that sad place. Over 11 years, he's had wanted to go out from escape the place. At age 12, he just picked up a guitar, and he's wondered, can I play it? He wants to play it for the church, and he has a girl that he often wants to impress. So he tells his brother to teach him a few notes. After all, he began so imaginable. At 7 years old or 11, his teacher abandoned him because his fingers are too short and would not teach him anymore. Lately, but he has enjoyed it. But the kind he noticed is to have the same problem with math too. Not because you think that this have a problem, because you think you cannot do it. You hate math. You have to enjoy math and music, something that you have to very hard to do. That's meant you were enjoying it and flowing it. Actually, like Eddie Wu, he had 2 problems. So when you want to think of math, you think of solve problems. Yes, but actually, it's all for Eddie Wu. It's actually math. It sounds practical and beautiful too. You may ask someone, you have to remember and understand math to understand it's beautiful. also you have to ask the right question. That's what it is to be a problem. To solve the problem, to answer the right question. And solve is just combining insight with imagination. How do you notice that everything has math in it, and even though you get music? But what's on with the magic sense? Actually, when you have these senses, right, like touch, see, animals of these, etc. Math is actually our sixth sense. We actually have five senses, but now it's jumped to math. Math is actually our sixth sense. And also, like human rhythm, you just touched about that. And humans, they have to enjoy math. They pattern, relationship, and connection, which is math is. It also found patterns that everywhere. We can see the patterns are so beautiful and elegant. Actually, it is by math. Math is a sense by imagination. Always got the artist in it. And we often see the artist like new ways to see the world. But the artist, to make the pattern, we are going to like artists, obviously, the riches, navigators, all things. But and when we come down, we see the local connection is actually powerful math. We know it's human rhythm. It's actually pattern, connection, analogical connection, relationship. It's actually connect all the math. If we don't have a relationship, it like things, but it has to connect in the group. When we taught of fractals, it's actually down to math. Let's jump on to fractal right now. Fractals have the same patterns like fractions and facts and cultures, fractals. We have some similar is the head of broccoli, or maybe head of fern, even the cloudless sky. It's called fractals. But when you talk about fractals, do you know River Delta? The River Delta is something similar. If you look at the River Delta, it has many straight lines. But if you compare this River Delta to this tree, amazing tree, do you think they have similarities? The similarity has its walk and cuts. It's not these lines. The river is connected to each other like math. So they have the same logical connection. But if you practice, what do you think of when you think of like a delta? You think geometry, okay? Geometry. You think of rectangles, triangles, and squares, mostly, etc. But math is actually all six of the world. If you want to know about shapes and learn about inside how many meters or centimeters it is, you need to learn math creation. And we want to understand it. How tall it is, how short it is, how many centimeters it is. Actually, the word for math. And if you have the perfect paint, and you have to teach these wires, these challenges, to understand that it's easy, it's powerful, and you have to understand them to make them better. It's actually true. If you understand math, music, and any rule connection, you can notice you didn't have a problem with math or music. You actually have a problem with your own ideas. You haven't noticed. You have to discover. You have to enjoy it. That's why, even though you enjoy it for a few days, you need to feel outside. But a few days later, your brain will change, your heart will change, everything will change. And if you perceive the mathematics, time is like guidance. You will have the perfect practice. Just practice music and math, writing rule, as it is probably. Just really don't matter about patterns. But if you are math, you might see some patterns here. I just taught you the patterns are in math too. Patterns are actually beautiful. We see it all in the world. Math have these artists, and this artist called sculptors, painters, artists, musicians, miners, cinematographers, and pattern creators. These are all the artists who make math. They are math creators too. Mostly, they're gonna have a design. But when we look at this pattern, they can make a pattern of a flower. They can make it if you look at the picture. If you are in these kind of designs, they can make this special culture. They want to build, for example, they want to build a flower, right? a pattern of flower for maybe 9 degrees, it's going to be a straight point. As you know, the flower can produce seeds. 62 degrees is almost right, better, but swirly and it's not connected to like math did. And involves a pattern too, but it's actually a bit big. But if we go 137.5 degrees, it turns the paper shape. And this is called the golden ratio. Actually, it's often common with flowers, the sunflower. That's why we always call it the golden ratio. Math and music is all beautiful for any real connection. If you didn't understand how math or music sense, it is. It's going to help connect us beautiful and also how our sense believes them. Thank you everyone to listen to me.